Today on the potty we have Saff,
Saffron, all the words.
the queen, the apple of my eye. But you specialise in ancient astrology, natural health counselling, Zentai shiatsu, yoga, so many things. I was reading and I was just like, okay, I didn't realise there was such a plethora of thingies. Good on you. It's really cool. What are you most inspired by at the moment out of all of them?
Like little bits of everything.
Yeah.
It's always been, I've always just loved learning everything.
Yeah.
I think at the moment I've been trying to just focus on my therapist course. So Zentai, which is Chinese medicine, and really like gathering that lens and then incorporating that in life and how I live life, how I treat, and as well it also encompasses astrology and everything else.
So good. Well, it's all so interlinked. But we were just chatting a little bit about like the past couple of weeks for ourselves, and I wondered, is there anything in particular that sparked this kind of growth? Because I've noticed it in a lot of people, even my housemate, like friends, my mum, a lot of people being faced with stuff just so head on, stuff that's been buried for a while. And what are the themes? What are the themes? What are the current themes? Like,
so many
at once.
It's all just like, it's all building up. And then I think, from like a personal placement base, it's very much to do, like retrogrades are always very internal, and then headaches, so like the head, the mind, that's very airy. So I think like, seasonally we're going through that change of spring, and then Mercury was in retrograde, so there's that.
It's done.
It's all done. Put that to bed. But what came up is it's within its placement of Virgo, so that's also its home.
Yeah.
So people are like, oh, it's its home, so it must be comfy there. But then that's its like biggest strength, is being like, what's going on in your life? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Get it together.
Isn't that funny? Speaking of Virgo season, like obviously Virgos are like the most meticulous kind of sign, like they do things in order and all that jazz. And it's funny, I noticed like the spring cleaning that I've been doing and that my housemate's been doing, like just so naturally. We're always cleaning anyway, but this morning something just took over me and I just went ham and just like moved everything around. And I was like, how does it have that kind of power in a way to motivate that? Like, it just trips me out, spins me out. Like, I know you can kind of look at it and just be like, oh, it's placebo, that Virgos are, like to keep their shit in order. But I don't know, what is that? It's like every sign has like a forte or something, and then it just takes over everyone else.
Their innate like powers, and then their weaknesses as well.
The weaknesses as well. I didn't look into those. Whoops.
Love my Virgos. Have a Virgo mum, so very close with Virgo energy. I think in relation to Virgo season in the southern hemisphere, being in spring is quite beautiful, because in the northern hemisphere spring is Aries season, which is the start of the astrological year. So then when you reverse it, it also holds like a similar but different energy. So Aries is, the blossoming, the child, the beginning of life. And then here you have that cleaning, that like cleaning of the mind, cleaning of your communications. Like, how do you think? What do you talk about? Why are you talking about that? Who are you talking to? And why is it important for you in the long run? It's like an earthier quality, which I love. And the home, it's a big part of like this, and this is a reflection of each other.
It's so cool. Obviously a lot of people are opposed to astrology. They're just like, nah, it's not science. And I get that, because I actually quite enjoy science and I like things to have a backing. But on average, like, humans are 45 to 75% water. And then you see like the tides are governed by the earth, the sun, the moon being in alignment. And when there's full moons, the tides are highly affected. Like, obviously from my calculations, if the tides are so affected and we're so filled with water, it means we're going to be affected. And to me, you don't really need any more science behind it. But what would you say to somebody who was looking at astrology and was a bit apprehensive, but was open to hearing a little bit about it? Like, what is the sense?
What's the formula to get them in the crew?
Yeah.
I was met by that, like, when I first started to, I guess, take it more seriously within myself, because it's like with anything that you love and that you're passionate about that isn't so, I guess, a mainstream, or people don't take it that seriously, you fall into the traps of feeling like you're the only one that is on their own separate path, and no one's going to gather and no one's going to care and no one's going to follow, and then accepting that that's okay, and then just having those conversations with people and bringing it up. I've always just brought up really lightheartedly. I did sometimes get too sarcastic about it, to the point where they're like, does she even believe what she's actually saying?
That's me. I kind of do that too. You just lighten it up.
And I think it just helps people be like, I think they just feel a lot more understood, especially Australians, because we have this sarcastic sense of humour, that if you're gathering this information and it's very important to you, just know your target audience. Even if you're at like the pub or whatever, having a conversation, just be like, you're very Virgo, like blah, blah, blah. And they'll be like, I don't believe in that. You'll just be like, all right then. And they'll bring something else up to like make it meet them on their level. And then if they don't believe it, that's all right. Live your life the way that you live your life.
That's it. Nah, I feel like I've noticed so many little gems just from opening my mind to it. And I guess part of it, I don't know, part of me thinks that maybe there could be a bit of placebo involved. There's placebo involved in everything. But it's like, I don't know, to me it's been so positive. Like, it's been a nice little guidance in times of darkness as well. And it's given me faith. And a lot of the time I can't deny how true it's been. So... But how is it real if we can't quantify it? Like,
how is it relevant if it's so invisible? And how is it just like feeling? And how do we have like a real deeper understanding of ourselves through like the understanding of the stars and the planets and the placements, and like how we have relationships with each other, why astrology is relevant in that? Or if you're giving birth to a child, like you have a house of 4 or 5 or whatever, and they've all got separate personalities, but they were probably raised very similarly. And I had this discussion with my ex, and he was so annoyed. He was like, astrology isn't real. Like,
that's a really good point. I like it.
It was like something that genuinely annoyed him. He was like, oh, but blah blah, it's just a personality, like me and my sisters, like it's just our personalities. I'm like, yeah, but you were raised by the same parents, similar upbringings,
similar environment,
but you all have very different charts.
You're right.
And it was so nice to look into each of their charts and then his, and then even in his chart it said that he'd be around a lot of feminine energy, which he had 5 sisters. So I was like, well, I don't know what to tell you, man.
That seems pretty spot on to me. Well, you notice as well when you get pretty deep into it that you click with certain signs, like you don't click with other ones. And I've noticed that I've had a lot of best friends that have been Tauruses, and I'm a Gemini, so it's a mutable sign. I'd say I'm quite adaptable. Tauruses are probably the most stubborn sign. And it's like, I feel like that's another good quantifying thing. It's just like, I can spot a Leo male from a mile away. And it's just, I'm just like, and because I love confidence, no, it's just really particular, like noticing that there's certain signs, and also noticing like other Geminis being like, oh, I can really see the Gemini in you, or the Capricorn, the getting things done, the just like, I don't know, I looked at my chart and I was like, whoa, I am really lucky to have this chart. Like, there's a lot of things in this chart that are very beneficial to me. Because I had my whole thing read when I was a child as well, and then I've done a sick reading with you. It's just rad. Like, it's the coolest shit ever.
A very complimenting chart. Everyone's chart is so beautiful in its own way, and like karmic, dharmic, like our blueprint of life is more or less our biggest gift. Whether it's a challenge, it's still a gift. Some people just have like extra credit in some areas.
Yeah.
But then it also like might weaken other areas.
It does. Yeah.
You know?
For sure.
So you could be like so driven and so like amazing at your like work craft, and then those people in the public eye could be looked at as aspirational. And then as soon as there's like maybe a relationship, you know, issue going on, you look at their chart and then you realize that that might be debilitated, but they're thriving in this other area, or like they might be surrounded by a lot of grief and sadness, but then this area. So like there's all these beautiful gifts, and then you dive deeper and you're like, oh, okay, but then there might be suffering on this aspect too.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. Hey, I did notice that as well. I've been getting a bit obsessed with North Nodes. Can you explain North Nodes?
I love the massive desire for this knowledge recently. I feel like nodes were not even spoken about at all.
They weren't at all. My mum gifted me a book and I read about it. Basically, like, I mean, nodes for dummies. Is it like your North Node is kind of where you want to get to the things that you want to be doing to amplify your existence, and then the South Node is things you're leaving behind or something of that nature?
So Western sees it as like the North Node is what you're moving forth within this lifetime.
Yeah.
What you're embodying, the qualities of that archetype that is going to serve you best in this lifetime. And then the South Node is your mastered qualities, but your biggest setbacks. Like, I guess a deeper aspect in Vedic, where like it's something that you're always looking forward to, but you never fully obtain. So it can be your biggest setback. And then the tail is like it's your South Node, so it's something that like you mastered, but it can also be something that's going to cause you your biggest like addictions or biggest issues in this life. So they have similar qualities, but they're like different.
I actually haven't even read about my South Node now that I think about it.
Is yours in?
I don't know. I'd like to think it is because I love Libras. But speaking of, can we talk a little bit about a projection of Libra season, which is coming next after this Virgo? I feel like Libra season's always so light and fluffy and balanced, but I mean, just praying. Again, it's let's talk Venus, let's talk yellows, let's get into the nitty gritty. I love this shit. Cheers.
Oh, cheers, darling.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. So yeah, if we look at it from like Sun in Libra, this next journey that we're embarking upon, it's very Venusian because that's its ruling planet. The way that we're looking at relationships and our independence, like our dependency or our independence, love language, you know, what we're receiving, what we're giving out, it will be very just needing to be discerning. So Virgo is going to again sort of like be cutting off what isn't of service to us. So it's beautiful. Like falls and detriments can also be so amazing, just like retrogrades also just as beautiful. Because it gives us a time to take a step back and fully look at the I don't like saying shadow aspects, but like the depth beyond the surface of that archetype's this, but what's below that. So Virgo is going to show us and might just force us to see, whether we like it or not, just what's around us. What's around us, why it's there, why it needs to go, and also taking a look at ourselves, because we can be very, you know, when we're being very meticulous and discerning, we can put a lot of energy into the external of what's happening, but then we might not take a lot of time to be like, oh, how am I actually contributing to this relationship? What am I not giving to whomever or whatever it is? So it's a good time for that.
I give nothing.
I think it's like a big slap in the face of reality. Like Virgos are so realistic, they're so practical.
They are.
They're so blunt.
They're so blunt. I just did some work for a Virgo and she was like, don't shoot that! And I was just like, she didn't mean it personally.
Yeah.
So funny. Do you have a favourite sign?
Do I have a favourite? Oh gosh. I think I genuinely get along the most with fiery people.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I get also very overwhelmed when I can't match that fire.
Yeah.
I get I almost like feel I'm a Mars and Libra, so my planet of actions.
I think I'm a Mars in Libra too.
Are you? I think you might be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like you can, I guess the archetype of that is like, you're very balancing of anything going around you. Like you can enter a room and you can feel into the space. You know, it's different than being empathic. I feel like the Libran quality, because it's airy, it's almost like a waft of the room, feeling what's imbalanced and then being able to balance that and harmonize it.
Yeah.
Scales.
Yeah, well that's it is the scales. No, I feel like that is me. Like I walk into a room and I'm like, look, something's off. I'm like, need to just like move the energy around. So I'm constantly moving things around.
Yeah.
But no, it's a good thing. But I also feel like, I don't know if it's a quality from that, but being able to see both sides to like everything.
Absolutely.
It's kind of good, but I guess that's also the Gemini twins vibe as well. Much to my bloody detriment though.
You're a Gemini?
I'm a Gemini. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just feel like I'm constantly just like in two minds about everything.
Oh.
Constantly like, I'm sure about something, but I'm like, but when there's somebody else involved, I'm
Yeah.
like, but what about their reality?
It can be really tricky to balance and ground like waftiness of air signs.
Yeah.
You know, I think I can, same with you and Leos, I can like smell an Aquarius from a mile away. I just know that they're that way. And
I can smell an Aquarius, that is fucking rude.
every time, and you know, because they always want to be their own individual selves, like when you call them out, you know, oh, you have such an Aquarius, that, yeah, but we're all just different, like, you know. Okay, that's, you're proving the point even further, which is amazing. I do actually love them. Yeah, I think that, and what I said previously, I'm actually also putting Aquarius in that. They're so hilarious.
Yeah,
all
well,
my best friends are Aquarius.
Brains. Send them my way. Yeah, Aquariuses are also up the top of mine, but that's also because I know that I'm meant to get along well with Aquariuses and Libras. Like,
Yeah.
but I just have a thing for Libras.
Like friendships.
Friendships, yeah. They're just like so sometimes ditzy.
Yeah, they're kind of like the how do you, the character in like teen movies that are a little bit like, oh wow, cool.
Yeah. And
But they're fun.
Yeah, they are. They're real cuties.
The boys are awesome in their own like androgynous way. You know, I feel like Libra men are so like, because they're Venus ruled, so they're so sensual and they're airy and they just want to dance everywhere. And a lot of the time they have these like free love experiences, and I like love that about, not as a relationship, because I'm like, I need someone that's more settled.
Yeah.
But I've tried the Libra man thing for a while in that free spirited way, and I was like, oh, they're just so young and fun.
They are, and they're really charming as well. Yeah, lots of qualities, definitely. But I do find that they're not the greatest with like conflict resolution. Because what's the communication like in the Libra fucking chart?
The Libra sphere. If they have a lot of air, they will preferably like take the side of what feels like is going to make that person happy, just for the time being. Yeah. But then they can also flight really quickly. Okay. So they'll have like they'll want to hear you out, but then they'll also just want to leave and just not have any of that ripple effect on the situation, which can seem avoidant.
Oh, it seems so avoidant, bro.
Yeah. Because you're just like, like have some larger opinion. You know, and this is archetypally speaking, you know, because you can have some very opinionated, strong Libras, and then you look and they've got like heavy fixed Taurus or something
Yeah.
cool like that, or they're like Aries dominant. You're like, okay, you're like a lot of things.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, like typically, I think Libras are just so scared to create issues that they just don't want any at all. So they just try not to. Pleasing.
Yeah,
problems.
there's a bit of people pleasing in there. That's an interesting thing.
I've had one of those Libras before.
You have?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
It was a hard one.
Yeah.
Because there's like so much love there though. Just like honouring you as an individual.
Yeah.
You know, honouring your path, and if I'm not in that path with you, it doesn't matter because there's still so much love there.
I can't imagine being in a relationship, you know.
Not at the moment.
Just in general. I just can't imagine just having that space, you know?
Your space?
Sharing the space. Like, I just feel like I've cultivated something so magic.
You want to receive what you give out. You
Yeah.
can like sense, to the best of our ability, we can like sense who is like that to everyone.
Yeah.
You know, like some people just like that to someone that they're interested in or their significant other, but like you can like gauge when someone's just like a natural, they ooze generosity and they just like that because they trust that everything is energy and everything's circulating.
For sure.
So yeah, I think like those times when you're getting to know someone, I feel like a lot of people like rush into it because they're so excited. Like, oh yeah, I found this person, like let's just get all like committed and bound down. But like you've hardly gotten to see every like texture and flavour of this person.
For sure.
Some of them you might not like, some of them are big deal breakers.
Big time.
And that's like, yeah, and it's challenging when you've already like done the serious thing too fast and you haven't taken that space to be like, who actually are you? You're basically a stranger until like maybe a year.
Yeah, the first year is like the most fragile thing. You're building all these little foundations, like how do we communicate? Like, it is a big deal, the relationship thing. I never put time into it. Because I feel like the last 6 or 7 years I've dated on and off, but I haven't really, I've always just cut it because I've been like, this just isn't it. And I don't want to string somebody along. But yeah, I think in my North Node, it's like I'm destined for partnership and destined for coming together with people to make bigger things, apparently.
That would maybe mean that your North Node is in Libra.
My North Node's in Scorpio.
Oh, it's in Scorpio?
Yeah.
Ah, so that means that your South Node is in Taurus.
Ah.
That's
interesting. Oh, okay.
That's such a funny one. Those two aspects.
Really?
Yeah. Do you feel? I feel like you. Yeah, you so do. Yeah, like the way that you live your life is very like you've like honoured your South Node in Taurus, that like resourcefulness, that like creating of material abundance, that like building and cultivating of money and finances, so you're in like a really stable place.
Slowly but surely.
But it's great, and then you can also fall into habitual nature really quickly, and like you just kind of just get a little bit like picky of your surroundings, which is great, but then you can be too picky. Yeah. But then the transformative qualities of Scorpio, if we're looking at it from like Mars ruled, very just head first into things, very deeply attuned. Like there's so many like watery aspects, but it's like boiling water, so it's like you just want to combust.
She knows me.
And it's so beautiful. It's such a lovely and challenging time to experience the Scorpio North Node, because you always want to change.
All the time, and I feel like I am constantly changing, but sometimes when things aren't changing, I'm like, what the hell?
Like I'm bored, what's going on? Yeah.
Literally, I don't let myself be bored, so when I'm getting there, I'm like... But that's funny, that's a really cool little breakout.
Yeah, it does make sense for you.
Yeah. And it's funny, like one of the biggest North Node things is my way, the hard way, and it's like learning lessons hard. Like I feel like people just like learn a lesson simply. I'm just like, I'm gonna learn it 6 times so that it really,
penetrates energy.
Yeah,
It's fully just like the the end of the tail, like the scorpion tail. It's very like it's in it, and then you just the repercussions of that, like it's poison, and then it also is medicine.
Yeah,
like medicine and poison, they can also like alchemize in itself. And then you knowing that you have to go through this experience and consistently shed. No one can tell you their experience. Like okay, cool. I still have to really dive myself into that. And that's incredible because a lot of people don't actually want to do that.
It spins me out that a lot of people don't want to do that though, because it feels like it's like the only way to do life is to be with the things, be with the thoughts, be full stop. So, but no, I feel like I have like the most revolutionary kind of wake up weekend sort of thing with just, you know, there's like just those times where things just make sense. Finally, you're just like, oh, I get it.
Full clarity.
I don't need to resist so much anymore, you know?
Yeah, it's like a full-centered knowing. And the path is just what it is.
That's it. And it's like, it's an adventure. It's like, it doesn't have to be, I don't know, I've noticed so much laughter since the realizations. Like, I just like cannot stop giggling. Like, did you have anything more to add to the Libra, where we're headed, what we can focus on, what we can let go of?
Yeah, I'd say that from the relationship aspect, I would probably just suggest to reevaluate where you are right now. Just like sit with it and understand the purpose that you hold in other people's lives and how that serves as a valuable offering. Because Virgo, you know, Venus being in Virgo during that time for the most part until it actually moves into Libra during the end. But then we'll have eclipse season, so there's all different stuff going on in that time. So I think just like the service aspect of Virgo is really lovely. You know, where are you of service to others, and how much is that overly extending yourself or not enough? Just finding the Libra balance, but with that Virgo energy to encapsulate it. So the service aspect and the health as well, because Virgo is all about health and practicality, routine. So it's again like almost like all those things, but then like within that Libra quality of finding the middle ground, finding the balance, and just noticing what brings you a lot of joy with beauty, like noticing the beauty in all things. And like you said, just like that time that you were crying, and then also that turned into this joy because you've gone through that, and then you've been able to uplift that feeling. You've literally like transformed it in your own ways, and you found that way of just like elevating that feeling forwards. So it's like finding just the beauty in all of life's challenges, because it's there. It's just our perception has to change to really feel it and notice it. All plants hold a different planetary rulership, so that's a different world.
Really?
Absolutely. And like real true like alchemical based herbalists, they will plant, they will harvest, and they will go through the 7-step alchemy process on the different types of the accompanying moon cycle when it's in that planet of that plant.
It's all so smart and so intertwined. It freaks me out.
It's so beautiful. Like just getting into that realm. That's a current interest. I'd say that like it probably started off just from like I love just knowing other people. I really, really wanted to learn others from a lens that is not just mind, institution, like educational based psychology. Because I wanted to be a psychologist when I was in high school. One day we were at a friend's house and she was like, she just gets in such a mind realm. Like she's such a unique person. And she started talking about the big 4. And I was like, what is this now? And she's like, you've got 4 signs. And when she told me that, I was like, oh. and it was like just shivers. Like I could just feel like it all made sense to me. Just even knowing the 4 as a baseline.
Yeah.
And then I delved deeper and I was like, oh my goodness, there's so much more. Oh my god, there's different house systems. What do I do with this information? It felt like I needed to tell everybody. And then I started telling everybody.
It's what you got to do. It's like veganism. You should tell everyone to be vegan.
And I did that too.
Yeah. It's a rite of passage, darling.
I have to go through all the extremities to find the baseline.
To find fucking your own truth that you don't need to vomit onto everyone else, but that's fine.
No, I just don't. Like, I'm like, if you want it, you can find it.
Are you still vegan?
No, not anymore. No, that's...
Okay, good. Because I was just like, for a second I was like, she's still fucking vegan. The joke doesn't hit as much.
Do I say anything else?
No, fruitarian.
Yeah, no. Oh, God.
Yeah.
I think veganism is good for certain people.
For sure.
Probably men more than women.
Yeah.
And the same with fasting.
Yeah.
If you want to conceive a child, probably have some type of animal something.
Yeah. Oh, it makes plenty of sense. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, Mum said to me we have teeth, and I was just like, that makes sense. But no,
Clear and concise.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
But no, it makes a whole lot of sense to be getting a good amount of protein and to be just eating a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And just seeing what works for you.
Absolutely.
But I can't even remember where we were at before we went off on our vegan tangent. So we're focusing in the next phase on just getting clear with ourselves, etc. Always just focusing on getting clear. And relationships, how we show up. This is good. I think I need to be doing that a little bit more. I think I was giving so much in my relationships, and when you just give too much and then you're just like, I'm sapped, and then now I'm back to feeling the cup's full and I'm like, I just want to hold on to all this energy.
Once it's full, it's kind of hard to want to risk the depletion again.
Yeah.
And then knowing I think just knowing the limitations and being able to be assertive enough to honor that isn't what you can offer for today or this week or just at this cycle in your life, especially as a woman, our cycles, certain times we can do more. And although everyone's deserving of everything, I think everyone deserves so much within themselves, finding a way that you can also gift what you want to give.
Yeah.
And doing that as often as you can, finding that people love and respect those people so much.
For sure.
They want to give you more.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh wow, you're doing so much for you.
Yeah.
And you're equally offering to others.
Yeah.
How can I be of service to you? God, it's such, you have so much energy, reservoir of energy, because it's just little loads.
Yeah.
So nice. But it's hard to do that as well.
I really thought that I was super balanced in my in and out. I just thought that I had such good grasp on it and good grasp on my cycle. But then, last month it really spun me out. I think also everyone was evidently, I think everyone was going through a bit of the fucking dark night of the soul. So, you're supporting everyone through their things, and then, it's a tricky one to, I found it a little bit harder to balance, time with mum and giving to mum and letting her speak her truth and rant and, being able to, and the same with friends and, noticing stagnancy and noticing, relationships needing to go separate ways, and, I think it was just a big time for everyone, and now that I'm on the other side, I don't know, let's talk eclipse season.
Are we on the other side yet or no?
Am I just having a couple of good days?
It's all up from here. Is it? Is it though? With the eclipse season, it kicks off next month. So we've got the full moon at the end of this month, and then next month we're kicking off with the start. It's the beginning of the eclipse, and then there's another following, and then that's that transitional phase in between. So how actually usually go down, you know, in its own expression, because where it's going to sit is going to be different for each person. So yeah, eclipses are always this, it's like an illumination of the inner subconscious depths. Like it's this, yeah, it's, you know, they always say like, doing the work, you know, like, but what is, you know, what does that actually mean? That can just be said about anything, just put in some work, but like, where are you directing the work? Work can be anything. It can be too much. You can like overload yourself with work and then always be working on yourself and then not actually having the time to be like,
guilty. Yeah. No, it's true, hey. Yeah. I gotta say, it kind of scares me a little bit when, you know that there's, I guess life is just full of events and stuff like that, but it's like, my acupuncturist or Chinese med king says that, like, you know, you just gotta do the work so that it doesn't catch up to you. And it's like, he seems to just like go through life and, you know, he's always doing like workshops and this and that, like, just getting it done, big getting it done energy. But I'm kind of trying to adapt a little bit of that in as well. So do you think like the work is being present, it's getting off the phone, like questioning addictions, and when you gravitate towards things, it's being conscious about who you're giving your energy to? Is that what we're kind of focusing on? I feel like that's what we should focus on at all times anyway.
That's actually the most hilarious thing about astrology, is like so much guidance and so much advice is like, it's just being, it's like just honoring the self and honoring its existence and doing the work in the areas that need the work. Because same thing with the other thing that's depleting something else. It's like you can put in all this work in one thing and then what's actually being depleted, but you're like blinded and just like focused, just centered focus on one thing, and then something else is also being depleted. So it's like, but it's not actually spreading yourself too thin, you know? There's always a balance with everything. So definitely like the way that some people can do things, they, you know, constitutionally, astrologically, that's like probably a big part of like their existence, and like they're living their dharmic path, and that's integral to what this experience upholds for them, and they're living, they're breathing that. Other people look up to those people and they might not actually hold that same quality, but they excel in something else that's, you know, similar. As long as you're leading the path that's integral to you, then you're excelling, you're doing the work. Some people are literally like, their job or like their purpose is like to be a really good mum, you know, and that's a big part of how they have not even chosen like the path that has been gifted for them, and they've chosen that, and then that's where they excel. So then they're but women have to have like all these side hustles and do all these things and blah blah blah, but the work is like raising this really beautiful family and teaching them what they know, and that's a big part of their experience too. So not being like swayed by other people and what they're achieving.
For sure. That's a really big word. I like that. It's like, I mean, I've been reading about like inner purpose and outer purpose. Evidently, I'd say we all have the same inner purpose, which is just to be a clear stream so that the knowledge can come through and we can just process as we go. And then the outer purpose, is that what would be being a mother, or like being, you know, me? I feel like my purpose is this. Like for the moment, it's just sharing and just building a little community, and your purpose seems to be a similar kind of thing, gathering so much knowledge and sharing again. That's been a really cool thing for me to realise, that not everyone is going to do, not that what I do is big, but not everyone's going to do something like, you know, write a book or like fucking be a movie star or whatever. Like a lot of people, they're happy also just doing something kind of simple. Not that parenting is simple, but living just like a simple life. But neurozones are. But yeah, just different purposes. Hey.
Different purposes and different different ways in which that we can like truly embody our strengths and acknowledging our weaknesses. I think I saw something the other day, and it was I guess being somebody that always wants to be self-improving and then always seeing the greatness in everybody around me.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you look at their child or you just meet them or both and you're literally like, oh my goodness, you've got so much potential. You literally just need to do this and this and this, and then you risk sounding like a parent where you're like, oh, but like you should do this, you know, and then taking a step back and being like, okay, that's their decision. They might actually have all of this, but what else is going on internally, externally, blah, 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 blah. So the video that I saw was like, as soon as you start going on a path of self-improvement, that's majority of where your energy goes towards. And then there's lists, and there's requirements, and there's expectations, and there's all these things that you are constantly flooding your mind with, that if you achieve something, okay, great, but then the next thing, and you're always going on to the next thing. And then basically what he was saying was that just as much of that needs to be self-acceptance and where you're at right now, and being really proud of where you're at. And you know, going back to if you decide to conceive a child and you want to be a mother or a father or whatever, and just being in that for a moment. And if finances can support that, then definitely, but just really like honoring that you don't need to be this entrepreneur, or you don't need to do all these other things, just like being simple when the time allows for you to just be like simply living. And it's nice to just have those moments.
For sure.
And then improve whenever you can. I think we can take a lot of the joy out of life, because like passions become so like hustle culture.
Big hustle culture. I think I'm pretty guilty of constant self-improvement and self-reflection and the honesty and just having the hard conversation and just like the whole thing. Like sometimes I'd like to activate the just like light, taking the piss, just like, you know, that kind of aspect of myself, because it's so there, and it's like I'm like that, but mostly on my own. There's not really, I haven't really, I guess, attracted people in who, you know, you bounce off that weird energy. Like the right people, they bring it straight out in you, and you're just like, the humour's quick, it's sharp, like, you know.
Love those people.
I think that's what I maybe need to manifest in, bring in a bit of lightness and
some play.
That's it. Because I get a little bit too serious reading too many books and get, to me, knowledge is just knowledge is like laughter to me. It's just like, it brings me so much. So, but also like having the past couple of days of proper laughter, like see, even now I'm just like happy. But it's just like, it's such a good reminder that laughter is important and that you need to cultivate it as well.
Absolutely.
And bring it into your relationships too, because
they can be a bit serious as well if you allow them to be.
Well, that's it, and it's like different humour. Like I've been having this like butt heads moment with Mum, because my humour is a lot of the time it's like I sometimes just, when someone's an easy target, I'll just throw them straight onto the bus. And Mum, you know, they just open themselves up for like the funniest fucking joke, and I'm like, I can't not like piggyback off this. And just trying to like get the humour, so it's not too self-deprecating and not like also shitting on somebody as well, but like
finding that equal middle ground.
It's hard though. But my brother cops it beautifully. Like we think that we're both. I think he is so funny, and he thinks I'm quite funny. But Mum gets triggered. So I'm not here to talk to you about my mummy issues, but just trying to bring in lightness into the relationships. I think that's a big thing for everyone as well at the moment.
Absolutely.
Bring in fun. Would you like some more tea?
I'd love some more tea. Thank you. My mum's on the other side of that.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, she's the one that she's Dutch. She's got this like real dry as humour, and it's very sarcastic, and it's very just like like you make fun of others and that's like comedic, you know?
That's me as well, and I'm trying to stop that.
You guys will just get along so perfectly.
Give her my number.
Yeah. She's a Gemini moon.
Oh, there it is.
It makes sense.
That's so funny.
And it took me actually a while to because like there's love there's so much love, but like and her upbringing is 3 brothers and no sisters, so like the feminine quality wasn't as nourished, but like this real like boyish, like just slapstick nonsense, like wrestle humor is like very strong for her, and I'm a very sensitive person. So growing up I was a bit like, why are you cheating all over me?
Would you be able to touch on like collective energy? Because I've never like I genuinely cannot believe how collective the themes have been recently in people's lives. Like the people I've been running into have been going through, you know, relationship breakdowns and just like work reshifts, like just looking at their lives and being like, I don't want this anymore. I'm letting go of this. Like this isn't serving me. I think for so long it didn't really feel like there was a lot of change for people. It felt like, you know, before COVID, it was just people were just like doing whatever, and then COVID happened, and then people started to like change things, and you know everyone was just like pushed down, and then everyone started to travel again, and it's like collective energy is a big thing. I'm a lot more sensitive than I thought I was. Last week on the potty, the girl that I had on said like the health of the most sensitive is like a really good gauge for like the collective energy. And do you have anything to say for collective energy?
I like that. It's
a spin out. Hey, you get it.
That's such a beautiful way to tap into where we're at as a united energetic form. You know, like however which way that you perceive this existence, why, like, you know, not even why we're here, but like what is our purpose within connection to each other, you know? And I think like the collective, and why people always mention the collective, is this united linking, like a mycelium network of you know, the mushrooms and how they connect to the trees, and how something that happens miles and miles away, and that little network can feel that, and it will give that nutrients and that love and that care over there, because they might have a lot of it over here. So it's almost like we're doing that, but for each other. Like I think there's a growing sensitivity, and I feel like it's really beautiful in so many ways. It's a little bit scary, you know, because when people are so tapped in, then like boundaries and protective fields and all that, you know, practices aren't being practiced, but the sensitivities are being opened up. So it's a really beautiful movement within the collective to go from a society that was actually pretty, like, you know, historically pretty brutal. And every era has a different forms of challenges, but especially what's happened over the past 3 years, and people, you know, openly sharing their opinions, their thoughts, their emotions, going through like these divides and these experiences that have torn families and friends and loved ones apart. Like inevitably your heart is going to be broken open, and it's going to create that openness, and then not being able to protect that, you're inevitably going to, whether you like it or not, shift something within someone else. They're going to feel that, and the more open that we are to each other, the more that we need to protect one another. So it's that collective knowing that our purpose here, you know, the divine purpose of everything besides our individual purpose, is to purely just be aware of the shifting nature of each individual, and meet them where they're at and see what they need in that moment, see what we can give.
Oh, that is so true. Can you say that again?
Collective versus society, you know, even those words, you know, like society feels so structural.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, what's good for society? What's good for the the structures of this human-made construct, like all these things, that's very like, you know, it's almost like these straight lines that go in all these like different directions, but they create this like dominating governed path. But then like how nature moves is so like, it's like a little dance. And that's what we are. We're such organic little tiny fragments of like plant matter and like little spirit energy, and we're all just dancing. And then we meet, and then we dance for a little bit, and then we go, okay, bye, and then we dance by ourselves, or we dance with someone else, and we're all just doing that. And then, you know, when you have those moments when you're with somebody, you might know them well or just have met them, and you depart, and you just almost like, oh, there's like a light that just emanates from you, and you just feel so connected to humanism. Like just the collective, you're just so connected. Like, this person's wonderful, but they reminded you of how beautiful it is to just be alive here together. And there's no divide if you don't allow for there to be a divide. Doesn't mean you need to get along with everyone, just connect on this baseline level.
You're right. I think for so long I just divided myself, and that's just ego again. But it's so nice when you get to that as well. And then I guess you cultivate more of this joy and love, and then your frequency starts to elevate, and then you're tested with gnarly people as well. But I feel like the people that cross your path end up being a little bit more in line as well. And that's fuck, this life is funny, eh?
You can be in a bubble, man. Like, I felt like I just wanted to be in a bubble with people that resonated the same way that I did, especially during those times. Like, honestly,
we love talking about those times here on Cappy Hour.
That's what I call them now. Is just they're the times. I'm not going to label whatever it is. You know, I feel like we've all had like our own journeys with that, the journey of what it was, and we look back at the times, the dark hours, and maybe there was a lot of transformation that happened for each person. And maybe some people are still just chilling in their little bubbles, and that suits them just fine. But as soon as they're challenged by someone that's not in their little bubble, that's where all of the work that they've done, just, it's like they've done nothing. And they just can't even connect with anybody on just a human level, because they're not in the same bubble or the circle of concern. They're just like, oh, you're just whatever, you know, or I don't resonate. You resonate with something with this person, just find what it is.
That's a funny one, hey. I feel like people could be a little bit more open, but hey, just because I'm doing me and I'm living open, it doesn't mean they need to be. But it's funny, I just go through my life just trying to crack every single person I cross paths with.
Oh, me too.
It makes it fun, because you're doing you got to go to Woolies every now and then, because you
forgot something.
You forgot something from the farmer's market, whatever. Flex, the farmer's market.
Always at the farmer's market.
But it's funny, even just having like the conversations with the Woolies chicks. I'm just like, how you going? Highlight of your day, go, give it to me, let's go. Like, and I'm just like, you're just asking like the most basically, and they're just like, get this chick out of my face. Like, you can tell it's just too much for them, but I love just playing around with it. But then you go to the butcher, and the guys, they're just like, they fucking love it, hey.
Ready to have a yarn.
They just froth it.
They're like some of the happiest people.
They are.
Honestly.
They are.
They just love what
they're
doing.
Simple. It's simple meat and yarns. Just the way I like it.
Full 180 from veganism. Just wanted to have a chat with the butchers, just see what they're about.
I have absolutely done a 180, and my gallbladder is upset about it, because I'm having trouble digesting fats at the moment.
I see. Yeah.
She gets it.
Yeah.
But I diagnosed that myself, and I'm so fucking proud of it.
That is good.
It's cool, eh?
Yeah.
Literally mapped the pimples that I was getting, found that it was gallbladder, went to Chinese docky, said, is my gallbladder under functioning? He was like, are you having trouble digesting fats? And then I was like, yes. And then went to kinesiology, and then we cleared the gallbladder. And now I don't have pimples.
That's so good.
Yeah. fucking, I
I'm
could
just
go
tapped
on.
in, man.
Man, it's funny the way I spend my time. People go out and I have drinks. I'm just like mapping why my gallbladder is under functioning.
Face
Funny.
mapping and trying to organ connect.
Yeah,
It's like, what are
literally.
you doing? You're like, I'm really busy.
Yeah, no,
That's
it's
so
like
much fun.
my liver's like not doing too well. I'm a bit resentful right now.
Angry lately. I don't know what's
Yeah.
going on. My wood element's
That's
very
it.
imbalanced.
Oh, liver point.
Kidney one.
Meridians. Who
That's
needs fucking anything when you got meridians?
That's the coolest thing about like just learning like basics.
Yeah.
You might not be able to you can put needles in yourself if you really want to,
Yeah.
but yeah, like learning about just meridians, the basic point system,
Yeah.
learning about just like points on the face.
Yeah.
Even like my friend was teaching me havening,
Ooh.
and I was really overwhelmed in Melbourne, and everything was just a lot going on.
Bro, full city vibes.
Oh man,
Yeah.
like going from the rainforest to Melbourne was like the biggest contrast of my whole life, and figuring out how to, that's my challenge, that's my bubble. And then I went out of my bubble and I'm like, oh my god, people are existing in a fast-paced way.
Yeah.
And we're eating lunch and everyone was just, it felt like everyone was on top of me.
Yeah.
And every word that was spoken was inside of my mind.
Yeah.
And I was full claustrophobic, and I was just trying to eat my food, and she was just over there, she could just sense it, she could feel it. And she told me to do havening, which is just, you just focus, like you either focus on one point or you close your eyes. And it's just self-soothing touches.
Yeah.
And just sitting there and making sure there's a space in between where you drop off.
Cool.
And it actually just, I opened my eyes and everything felt clear, the noise was more silent.
Yeah.
And I could just sit there and I had a bit of a laugh with her, and I was just like, oh my goodness, I have all of this in me. This is all wisdom that we hold, the points, meridian, everything.
Yeah.
It's all within us. Just when someone
sure.
reminds us of that,
It's beautiful.
Obtain that knowledge, you just get like, it just evokes something within you.
Yeah. We've all got the tips and tricks. But it's like you get into those, thought patterns, the overwhelm, the city, the fast pace, like people actually functioning like that, and you're just like, whoa, like I need my trees and I need all that. And it's like you get so deep in that, and it's like you need to break your pattern. It's like some people you can just, like, if I screamed at you, your pattern's kind of broken, but that's not great for the nervous system sort of thing. But it's like, doing a soft thing like that is like a really beautiful thing. But it's a bit of a Tony Robbins thing, breaking the pattern of like thought. It's like the other day I was at this like cold pool place, and I was in the hot pool, and then I just got so overwhelmed with my thoughts, and I was like, stop, just went straight in the ice bath, just like head first, and was just like, no more. And then I just got out and I was like, see, it's gone now. And it's just like, I guess in life you do have to be in environments that you don't really want to be in. It's tricky. I struggle actually, because my soul wants to be in Tasmania. That's all I want. I want to pick this up and put it in Tassie, because I feel like the energy there is different. I feel like everyone's sharing. It's like, it's swaps, it's trades. That's just what it is for my heart. But I can't be like that right now. I could be like that right now, but it's just not. It's not the time. But even spending like a few days on the beach this weekend, all I wanted to do was just to get away from like the campground and the thing and the people, and just like set the energy in my little spot. And it was just magic. And I was just like, I could live like this. It motivates such like connection to self, but it's about being able to bring that connection to self into the hustle and bustle as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like taking that cultivation of what you learned there, and then like picking that up and putting yourself in that environment, and having the power of protective energy, and just like a centered mind of where you're at, not allowing for anybody else around you to influence any emotion, any vibration, anything. Like it might, and then knowing how to like centralize that, creating your own homeostasis, like that own balance. It's like it's a literal skill.
It's a skill, hey. Yeah. It's a full every moment day practice.
Yeah.
We are sensitive beings.
Yeah. And what is around us, like the frequencies that are around us on this the modern mainstream areas, you know, all of the cities, especially the cities, the frequencies, like the harmful frequencies that we're constantly bombarded with.
Yeah.
You know, like it deprives oxygen. So the breath, you know, everyone wants to talk about breath work, but they're constantly surrounded by technology that depletes the breath, depletes 100%. The oxygen in the cells. So yeah, imagine going to a city's like a microwave. It literally is just this full pulsating microwave. And if you need to be there, be there. And if you live there, you live there. But find ways to protect yourself.
Yeah.
Find tools to protect yourself as much as you can, and practices and foods.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally a full-time job.
It's a full-time job. Yeah, no, it's a trippy thing. But I think, I guess the solution to my Tasmania dilemma, which is not really a dilemma, it's more just like doing these little bits and bobs to one day be able to set sail and just live in that.
Why don't you move?
Well,
because
what's stopping me is I've built this business that is currently thriving, and I have so much clientele and I have so much freedom. Like, you know, I've got the freedom to just work when I want to work, do what I want to do, have the time to create, like all of it. I get to do yoga every day. I get to go to the markets on Wednesday. No one tells me what to do. Nothing. If I go to Tassie, I'm going to have to rebuild, you know? And I have a solution that I found on the weekend that I feel like sometimes when you talk about your big ideas, it takes away the energy. So I'm just going to keep chipping away at it. And I think this is what I'm going to need to do to make that a possibility. A thing that I've been wanting to do for fucking so many years. I think once I do that, it means more money coming in and I'll be able to do that. It's just not for right now. You know, I don't want to run away from like a thriving kind of business because I don't know how much photo and video work I'd get off the bat just rolling into Tassie. Yeah. Hey everyone, Cap's in town. Anyone? Yeah. I'm like, this thing's still on.
You never know though.
Well, like, that's I'm gonna go soon. I'm gonna go in the coming months anyway and just spend a week and just see. I've spent a bit of time there. I'm just gonna see what's good. I know that I'll end up there anyway. I know that the feeling I'm searching for is a feeling that comes from environment, and Tasmanians are just like, they're precious. They're like farm boys. We love them. They're just a bit slower.
My friend calls Tasmania the abundance portal, and she's got her own little farm boy, and it was probably like not even a month of moving there. She's just like, oh, you know, boys are always letting me down. I can never find, you know, someone that wants to settle down, have kids, have land, you know. Moves to Tasmania like within a month. She's like, oh, this man, like blah blah blah. This is where he's like all these things, and I'm like, it's like everything that you manifested. And I remember I told her I was like doing a transit for her, and I was like, if you move somewhere, I feel like love is going to come. And you know, it was like a friendship, non-official reading. Just being like, oh, blah 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 blah. And then after that, she was like, I'm gonna move to Tassie, and I was like, okay, cool. Not because of that, just because she loved it. And then when that happened, I was like, just laughing. Of course, it happened.
Combustion. Isn't that funny? Hey, it's a trippy one because in my thing as well, it's, you know, moving there, having the partner, having the kids, having the farm, you know, growing the veggies, the whole idea. I don't know, my ideas are kind of shifting. I'm falling more into just like everything's happening for me. Like now, it's not. I don't really have any control over things anymore. It's like everything just happens. Like something just takes over and makes my decisions for me, sort of thing. I don't know. It's tricky.
Is this around your Saturn return?
Yeah, it's currently
happening.
Yeah,
around that time.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And I think like yours was probably a little bit more auspicious and abundant because your rising's Cap.
Yeah.
So that's like ruled by Saturn.
Okay.
So technically, like your rising sign and your moon sign, because that's Capricorn as well, if I remember.
Yeah.
That is being activated during this fullness of your Saturn return, which is in Pisces, which is about the spiritual evolution. And yours is just, but it's like spiritual evolution meets Cap. So like Cap is that abundance, it's that work-life balance. And I think I was saying, like, you know, what is maybe a year or two ago that we did the reading that something's going to happen where you're opening yourself up to sensitivity and creating some sort of like financial abundance through like being openly sensitive in this space. And yours is like what you're doing, and having these podcasts where you're like speaking about yourself so fully. You
called it.
It's so exciting.
It's so exciting. It's so trippy. So Saturn return stuff blows my mind because I notice like everyone going through their Saturn return has always just, you know, been shown shit that they need to deal with, been shown beauty, been shown whatever it needs to happen has been brought to the forefront. So Saturn return, can you know when it starts? Like, can you know when it finishes?
Yeah, so it's really cool because Saturn return technically is like when Saturn, like the earthly realm, when Saturn falls into the same placement that your Saturn is in natally in your chart. So when that's activated, it might start for 27, 28, probably the end of 28, not 29, you know, age-wise. And then how it actually shows its peak is when it's within a certain degree point.
Okay.
So if you're having your Saturn return, like you've begun it, then if yours is in, let's say, like 14 degrees, so it obviously begins at 1, and then if yours happens in a year's time, it hits the 14 degree mark. That's this like full elevation peak period of the Saturn return, and the whole time it's still vibrating in its own way. But your experience of that can be like very intensified, and it can be this this very challenging experience, or it can be the abundance of all things are just happening because you're working in alignment with Saturn. Like Saturn return, and going back to what you said about like males as well, because during that period it's almost like, I love what your friend was talking about, like the different stages of a man's life. And that like, party scene, all that like starts to fade away and they want to actually settle down and create a kingdom. And it's so true. And it's usually around that Saturn return period. It is without even trying. And then everyone still goes through it, but some people work against it, and they hold on to a past version of themselves, and that causes them so much conflict in this experience because they're not willing to be this newly shed version of self. It's hard.
Well, that's it. And it's being scared of letting go. Letting go of what they know and stepping into something new and fruity. Just honest.
And letting go of the unknowns that youth holds. You know, when you're young, everything is so available, and then when stability and commitment comes into it, it's
different, because
Saturn is commitment. Like Saturn literally rules structures, order, commitment, anything that creates a long-lasting foundation.
That's so funny. That makes so much sense.
It's a beautiful,
it's refining
planet.
It's refining,
absolutely. Like its expression is so potent in its like the qualities of like, you know, fine wine. Like you have to be patient. Capricorn moves very slowly. Traditionally Aquarius is also ruled by Saturn too. So there's like this loving of traditions, loving of foundations, loving of like the home, you know, creating a basis. And then there's the expansive qualities of Aquarius that come through Saturn, where it's like inventing, like revolutionizing communities, creating communities, having some sort of interconnectedness. Like we've created the foundations, and then how are we going to expand and explore from here, create something new? So you have to start with one thing first, and the earth comes first and then follows. They're the signs that follow each other.
Yeah.
You know, like 10 is all about the Capricorn energy, and then 11 follows, which is Aquarius. They're both just Saturn, the beauties of Saturn, the gifts of Saturn when you work with it.
Yeah. I'm really keen to know when mine's over. Because like I feel like from the moment I turned 28, I like came into 28 like smoking DMT, just like you know, just like I was like, I want to be with the mother, and it was just like this shit just went bang, 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 and for the next couple of months it was just like so at the forefront of my mind, wanting to be let go of. And then last week I had this just like emotional, just this day where I just cried from like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then I woke up the next day and I was like, it's gone. Like the whatever it was, stored trauma, fucking like patterns, thoughts, whatever, that thing's like done now. The cycle is broken, it felt like. And then I felt like this weekend I was just gifted with like all this magic. But I feel like it's stuff that you know. Like, would you say that, because like when you talk, I feel like you are so flowy, and it feels like you're literally channeling. Would you call it channeling?
My dad calls it wafting.
Wafting?
Yeah, like I'm just like wafting on about stuff because he's a Taurus, Dad. And he's like,
you're captivating as. I'm like, she's like a little fairy, and like your eyes are just going like, ee, and I'm just like, you get inspired and passionate, and then I'm like, oh, I am feeling that too.
I love your really engagement cool. When I speak. It makes me want to express more. Like cool. When you're being received and you give someone that space to actually express, it feels so much more enlivening, and I feel like I can genuinely speak from, it's truly like a channeling of the heart.
Cool.
My Venus is in Leo, so and my Mercury is a Cancer. So if you meet those two, one's ruled by the sun, one's ruled by the moon. So I'm consistently like finding that there's this like luminary quality of like the beautiful depths of the ocean meets like the radiance of the sun. Yeah. And it's like a warming and a pulsating of both. So maybe for some that like to be clear and concise and just get straight to the point, they'll be like, where are you going? Why are we going in all these directions? Whereas some people that can really be receptive and like can feel the emotions and the intentions behind the words, then you're channeling that too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think that's why I see it, because a lot of the time I've experienced like more like your dad, where they're just like cut to the chase, and I'm like, I want the story, I want to feel the thing, I want to see it. Like I want to feel like if you're telling me a story about you in a field, I want to feel myself in the field with you, you know. But that's a big thing that's been coming up recently, is that I realize that I listen to people's words to a fault. Like I'm listening like to every single little thing and interpreting it in my own way, and that can really cause harm. And in relationships, even with mum, like I perceive things that she says in a way that she's not meaning to say it and stuff like that. So again, I think that's like one of my most beautiful qualities, is that I am engaged, and I really love hearing what some people have to say. Like you're particularly engaging, you're particularly good with words, and you're like an actress. It's fucking like, but you're not putting it on. It's just so natural. I love it. But this is what I've been asking for, more connection like this, and it's a beautiful thing. Couple glimmers. I keep having glimmers on this podio. Just like full, just like moments of like, I am where I need to be. And I just realized, do you remember the first day we met? It's not fucking G-rated.
Oh my god.
I won't incriminate you on the potty with that.
No, that's so fine. Plant medicine, distribution of plant medicine, and allowing for you to facilitate your own journey through this conscious mother essence, that's what happened.
Yes.
You're like, yeah, sure, why not?
No, I was just like, I wasn't sure where you were getting at, and then I was like, yeah, I completely agree with you, 100%. We had such a good time as well.